As a caretaker at Maplewood Cemetery, I've spent countless nights patrolling the grounds, ensuring peace for the departed. But one fateful evening, my ordinary routine took an unimaginable turn. It was a moonless night, the air thick with an unsettling stillness. As I made my rounds, my flashlight casting long shadows among the tombstones, I stumbled upon a peculiar sight. A series of graves, recently disturbed, laid bare before me. Panic coursed through my veins as I realized that something was terribly wrong. Could it be the work of grave robbers? Or something far more sinister? With a trembling hand, I dialed the local authorities, my voice choked with fear as I reported my gruesome discovery. They assured me they would investigate, but something in their tone suggested they didn't fully grasp the gravity of the situation. Determined to uncover the truth, I resolved to investigate on my own. The following night, armed with a lantern and a heart pounding with trepidation, I returned to the cemetery. A thick fog slithered among the tombstones, adding to the eerie ambiance. Each step I took felt like an intrusion into the realm of the dead. As I approached the empty graves, a cold breeze whispered through the air, raising the hairs on the back of my neck. I knelt beside one of the desecrated graves and ran my fingers through the freshly upturned soil. It was then, in that chilling moment, that I heard it, an agonized moan escaping from beneath the earth. My blood turned to ice as the realization washed over me. Someone was being buried alive, their desperate cries for help stifled by the weight of the soil above. Without a moment's hesitation, I began digging, my heart pounding with every shovelful I tossed aside. The minutes stretched into eternity as I clawed through the dirt, my muscles straining against the grueling task. Finally, my shovel struck something solid, and my hope soared. With renewed determination, I dug with a fervor I never knew I possessed until I unearthed the horrifying truth. Lying before me was a woman, her face etched with terror, gasping for air as her eyes locked onto mine. She was alive, barely clinging to the frayed edges of life. The stench of death clung to her, mingling with the scent of damp soil. Panic surged through me as I realized that she wasn't the only one suffering beneath the ground. Driven by an insatiable urge to save the other victims, I continued my relentless excavation. One by one, I unearthed the tormented souls, their emaciated bodies bearing testament to their prolonged suffering. Each of them, pale and feeble, stared at me with hollow eyes, their voices choked by days of futile screams. I called for help, for anyone who would listen, but the echoes of their desperate pleas seemed lost in the vast emptiness of the night. It was as if the cemetery itself conspired to keep their cries unheard, their plight concealed from the world above. As the authorities arrived and took charge of the survivors, a wave of anger and determination coursed through me. Whoever had inflicted this hellish torment on innocent souls would pay for their crimes. I resolved to assist the investigators in any way I could, driven by an unrelenting desire for justice. Days turned into weeks as we combed through every shred of evidence, leaving no stone unturned. The perpetrator, it seemed, was cunning and elusive, leaving behind no discernible clues. But we refused to be deterred. We delved into the dark underbelly of the town, questioning residents, searching for any trace of information that could lead us to the sadistic individual responsible for this nightmare. During our investigation, we stumbled upon whispers of a local legend, a tale passed down through generations. It spoke of a vengeful spirit, a malevolent entity that preyed upon the living, luring them to their doom within the confines of the cemetery. Could this folklore hold a grain of truth? Was it possible that something supernatural was at play? Driven by desperation, I sought out an elderly town resident, a wise woman rumored to possess knowledge of the occult. With trepidation, I approached her small, weathered cottage and shared my harrowing tale. She listened intently, her eyes clouded with age but brimming with wisdom. After a prolonged silence, she spoke, her voice trembling with a mixture of fear and conviction. She revealed that the cemetery was indeed cursed, an ancient curse invoked by a vengeful spirit seeking retribution for a grave injustice. According to the legend, the spirit lured unsuspecting victims into its clutches, burying them alive as a twisted form of revenge. Her words sent shivers down my spine, and the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. The empty graves, the echoing screams, they were all part of a macabre ritual, an unholy cycle of suffering perpetuated by the restless spirit. With newfound purpose, armed with this knowledge, We devised a plan to confront the malevolence that haunted Maplewood Cemetery. As the moon reached its zenith, casting an ethereal glow over the graves, we gathered at the heart of the desecrated grounds, armed with ancient incantations and the resolve to break the curse.